Beneath the canopy of an old oak tree, something lay motionless in the grass. Ethan squinted, wiping sweat from his brow. It wasn't a fallen branch, nor was it a clump of leaves. He stepped closer, and then he saw her, the fallen hunter. A black kite, a majestic bird of prey, lay crumpled on her side, feathers matted, eyes fluttering weakly. Her chest heaved with labored breaths, and one wing was twisted awkwardly beneath her. "You're hurt," Ethan murmured gently, "but I've got you." He wrapped her carefully in a soft towel, shielding her wings, and carried her inside. It was the beginning of a journey neither of them could have predicted. Ethan fashioned a temporary home for the bird in an old dog crate he had stored in the garage. He patted the bottom with towels, set a bowl of water nearby, and turned on a small fan to keep the room cool. That night, he stayed up late researching bird rehabilitation online. He called local vets, emailed wildlife experts, and even reached out to a retired ornithologist he remembered from college. The kite, whom he began calling Shadow for her dark, shimmering feathers, barely moved for the first few days. She refused food and drank only a few sips of water. But Ethan was patient. He blended small amounts of chicken and fish into soft meals. He cleaned her wounds gently and monitored her breathing. Every morning before work and every evening after returning, he checked on her, talked to her, read beside her, and over time she began to respond. After a week, Shadow stood on her own. By the end of the second week, she flapped her wings, though still weakly. By the third week, she looked at Ethan with sharp, intelligent eyes that were no longer clouded by pain. On the seventh day, Ethan opened the cage. Shadow tilted her head. "Go on," he said softly, "you're free." For a moment, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she stepped out. She flapped once, then again, and finally, she leapt forward and soared into the air. Up, up, past the roof, past the trees, into the glowing evening sky. Ethan watched until she became a speck in the clouds. She was gone. He felt a strange emptiness. He had expected it. He had prepared for it, but still, the silence she left behind felt heavier than he anticipated. She's wild, he reminded himself. She belongs to the sky. And yet, something inside him hoped he'd see her again. And on the sixth morning, Ethan opened the front door and nearly dropped his coffee mug. There, perched on the edge of the roof, her head held high and wings folded gracefully, was Shadow. She had returned. Shadow looked down, gave a soft cry, not the harsh call of distress, but a familiar sound, like a greeting, and then glided down to land on the fence near him. "You came back," Ethan whispered, a blooming in his chest. She hadn't come out of necessity. She wasn't limping, she wasn't weak. She had come because she wanted to. From that day on, Shadow became a sentinel of the house. Each morning, Ethan would find her on the roof, or in the old oak tree. She'd greet him with a flutter of wings and a low cry. Neighbors started to notice. Children from down the block would ride their bikes slowly past the house, hoping to catch a glimpse of the big black bird with gold eyes. Ethan's elderly neighbor, Mrs. Holland, once said, "She watches like she owns the place, gives me the chills like she's smarter than we think." And maybe she was. She didn't just perch and preen. She circled the yard regularly, especially in the evenings. She dove at squirrels who tried to chew through garden fences and chased away a hawk that came too close to the bird feeders. More than once, Ethan spotted her following the mailman's truck down the street, as if inspecting his route. One afternoon, a rattlesnake slithered its way into the bushes near Ethan's back porch. Before Ethan even noticed, Shadow had already struck swift, decisive, and fearless. She returned to her perch afterward, calm as ever. 7 months since Ethan had rescued Shadow. 7 months of silent companionship. 7 months of stories shared with friends and colleagues who laughed in disbelief at the idea of a wild black kite becoming a guardian. Shadow never entered the house again, but she never left the skies above it, either. Rain or shine, she was there. When Ethan had a hard day at school, he'd come home, sit on the porch, and Shadow would glide down, landing a few feet away. She never got too close, never demanded attention, but her presence was grounding. It reminded Ethan that not all bonds are built with words. Some are forged in silence, in healing, in mutual trust. One Sunday morning, Ethan's younger sister, Grace, came to visit with her 5-year-old son, Noah. It was his first time meeting Shadow. As soon as they stepped into the backyard, Shadow circled overhead and then landed on the fence. Noah gasped, "Is that a hawk?" Ethan smiled. "Close. She's a black kite. Can I pet her?" "No, buddy," Grace said gently. "She's not a pet. She's something else." Shadow watched Noah with calm curiosity. Then she lifted into the air and performed a slow circle above them, almost like a dance. Noah clapped. "She's saying hi." Grace turned to Ethan. "You know this isn't normal, right?" "I know," Ethan replied. "But she's not normal either." She sat on the porch with Ethan, sipping coffee, while Shadow watched from the tree above. "You don't owe me anything," he said softly. "You can go anytime." Shadow didn't move. "I'm glad you're here," he added. She gave a soft cry in return. It wasn't a promise. It was understanding.